If you miss Yellowstone, Paramount Plus just added the Clint Eastwood Western that inspired Taylor Sheridan to create it. Taylor Sheridan's hit TV series, Yellowstone, aired its finale just a few months ago. And fans of the Western series who are already feeling its loss should check out the Clint Eastwood movie that inspired it. Since Yellowstone's premiere in 2018, Taylor Sheridan has expanded his Western empire, becoming the foremost name in the genre. Following the original series' conclusion, Sheridan has several Yellowstone spin-offs in the works that will ensure that the Dutton's universe will remain popular for years to come. Even beyond Yellowstone and its direct spin-offs, Sheridan has several other shows and movies that are very clearly inspired by Western classics. While Western shows had waned in popularity over previous decades, Sheridan helped bring them back, and he had some very clear inspiration from another Western legend. Before Sheridan made his mark on the genre, Clint Eastwood had long been the name that many associated with Westerns, so it feels very fitting that one of his films inspired Yellowstone's creation. Clint Eastwood's Western movies have been influential on the genre for decades, and Sheridan has cited Unforgiven as a particular inspiration. Unforgiven follows an aging outlaw named Will Money Eastwood as he decides to go after one last bounty to save his farm and take care of his children. Though Will is a talented enough marksman to ensure that he can get the bounty, Unforgiven is actually much more focused on the toll that his past actions and profession have taken on him, often giving the film a somber tone. Now that Unforgiven is streaming on Paramount Plus, it is certainly worth watching to understand just how much Taylor Sheridan was inspired by the movie. Just as Eastwood's Will Money is a very morally gray character, so too are many of the characters that Sheridan created for Yellowstone. In a profile for The Atlantic in 2022, Sheridan stated that Unforgiven let the sheriff be a bully and the hero be this drunken, vicious killer, while highlighting how this nuance also runs through Yellowstone's characters. Indeed, many traditional Western shows and movies presented the American West as having very clear black and white, good guys versus bad guys narratives. Real life is much more complicated, and Unforgiven is a very good example of the genre at its most complex and reflective. The characters of Yellowstone, particularly the Dutton family, face the consequences of their actions in a way that takes inspiration from the message of Eastwood's movies. The line between good guys and bad guys is often not so straightforward. Beyond taking inspiration from Unforgiven's themes and morally complex characters, Taylor Sheridan's other inspiration that comes from the film is even more apparent. Sheridan used Claudia's theme from the end of Unforgiven during the first season of Yellowstone. Claudia's theme can be heard in Yellowstone Season 1, Episode 6. The emotional theme music fits perfectly with the stunning visuals of the Yellowstone Ranch and creates a contrast with the emotional turmoil of the characters. Eastwood had never let anyone use the song before, and Sheridan shared with Cinema Blend that he initially approached the famed actor-director thinking that nothing would come of it. Sheridan highlighted once again that Unforgiven was the film that made him want to become a director, and that the scene was essentially a 90-second homage to Clint Eastwood. Sheridan ended up shooting the clip and sending it to Eastwood, who miraculously approved, allowing Yellowstone's audiences to enjoy the song in a new way. On top of Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven serving as the inspiration for the series itself, and its theme song making an appearance in an early episode of Yellowstone, another Clint Eastwood movie is actually responsible for Taylor Sheridan casting one of Yellowstone's main characters. Prior to joining the cast of Yellowstone as Case Dutton, Luke Grimes starred in Clint Eastwood's 2014 movie American Sniper. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Luke Grimes confirmed that it was this role that initially piqued Taylor Sheridan's interest. Grimes's role in American Sniper is that of Mark Lee, a Navy SEAL who was killed in combat. The intense role served as proof that Grimes would be able to portray Case, who is also a former Navy SEAL and is still dealing with the emotional aftermath of those experiences. Grimes was undoubtedly great as Case and embodied the complexity and imperfect nature of Sheridan's Yellowstone characters, once again highlighting just how much inspiration the showrunner drew from Eastwood's movies. If you've been suffering from Yellowstone withdrawal, and who isn't, really, there's good news galloping your way from the streaming plains of Paramount Plus. While we all wait for the Dutton family's final ride, the platform just dropped a dusty gem that helped inspire Taylor Sheridan's gritty Western universe, Clint Eastwood's Pale Rider. Yes, Pale Rider. That haunting, stylish 1985 Western where Eastwood plays a mysterious preacher who rides into a gold mining town under siege and absolutely changes everything. It's moody, it's raw, and it carries the same atmospheric weight that made Yellowstone feel like more than just a family drama with horses. In fact, it's said that Sheridan studied Eastwood's work, particularly Pale Rider, to infuse his stories with the same moral ambiguity, stark landscapes, and Code of the West philosophy. And you feel it. From the moment the preacher arrives in that small California mining camp, Pale Rider whispers the same themes that echo across the Dutton Ranch: justice, revenge, land, and the ghosts of old battles still being fought in modern times. Swap out miners for ranchers, and you've got a familiar rhythm. Powerful outsiders trying to push honest folks off their land, and one stoic man with a mysterious past stepping in to turn the tide. Sound familiar? Watching Pale Rider now, in the post-Yellowstone world, feels almost prophetic. You can see the blueprint of John Dutton in Eastwood's preacher, a quiet, resolute figure who speaks volumes with a look and commands loyalty through action. Sheridan once said in an interview that what drew him to Eastwood's films wasn't just the tough guy swagger, but the way morality blurred around the edges. Pale Rider doesn't offer easy answers, and neither does Yellowstone. Both ask, what's a good man in a lawless land? And how far can you go to protect what's yours before you become the villain? That question is central to the Duttons. John Dutton isn't a hero in the traditional sense. He's complex, sometimes brutal, and fiercely protective of the Yellowstone Ranch. Sound familiar again? In Pale Rider, Eastwood's character is also no angel. He's a gunfighter turned man of the cloth, haunted by his past, and cloaked in both righteousness and retribution. That duality was irresistible to Sheridan, who wanted to create characters who were hard to root for and harder to ignore. And let's not forget the land itself. In Pale Rider, the towering Sierra Nevadas loom like silent judges over every decision made by man. In Yellowstone, the Montana skies are as much a character as Rip Wheeler or Beth Dutton. Sheridan learned from Eastwood how to let landscape tell a story, how sweeping shots of rugged mountains and endless plains can say what dialogue never could. So what can Yellowstone fans expect from Pale Rider? An old-school Western that feels shockingly modern. A slow burn of a story that ends in fire. A quiet man who rides in like a ghost and leaves legend in his wake. There's even a bit of that Beth Dutton spice in Sarah Wheeler, the miner's daughter, smart, strong-willed, and unafraid to call out a man with a gun on his hip and secrets in his eyes. More than anything, watching Pale Rider now is like traveling down a dusty road that leads straight to the Dutton Ranch. The DNA is all there. The gruff anti-heroes, the loyalty bound in blood, the sense that something sacred is always just one gunfight away from being lost. Sheridan didn't copy Eastwood's story. He translated it, layered it, and dressed it in modern denim and politics. But the soul, that came straight from Pale Rider's saddlebag. And it's not just Yellowstone. The echoes of Pale Rider ride into Sheridan's other creations too. 1883, with its elegiac tone and fatalism, and 1923, where violence and land ownership are almost spiritual matters. Sheridan's whole universe is stitched with the thread of classic westerns, but it's Pale Rider that feels like the godfather of them all. So if you're yearning for that mix of rugged beauty, complicated justice, and long stares over whiskey glasses, don't wait for the next Yellowstone chapter. Fire up Paramount Plus, settle in with Pale Rider, and experience the film that lit the match for Taylor Sheridan's entire empire. Clint Eastwood rides tall, even without a 10-gallon hat. And in many ways, he paved the trail for John Dutton to follow. Let's be honest. Yellowstone may be winding down, but the Western will never die. It just puts on a new coat, speaks with a quieter voice, and still rides into town when trouble calls. Sheridan knew that. Eastwood perfected it. And now, thanks to Paramount Plus, we get to watch it unfold all over again. So saddle up, Pale Rider is here. And if you're missing the Duttons, it's the closest thing to a spiritual prequel you'll ever find.